Hey guys, today I'm going to give you my initial impressions on this brand new hitch that I just got. This is the Shocker Hitch Air. This is the 12K model, the 12,000 pound rated. They have a heavier duty, but again, this one is the 12K model. It's got the 2 5/16 ball up top, and then of course you can flip it over and you've got a 2-inch ball down here. So let me answer the question first, what do I plan to tow with this hitch specifically? And if you're one of my subscribers, then you probably know that I've made a lot of changes recently. Everything from my truck here, I used to have a Ram 3500 dually diesel, and I towed a 17,000 pound 42-foot long fifth wheel. Obviously this is not a Ram, it is a GMC, and it's a 3/4 ton truck. It's a gasser. And then I have a smaller travel trailer on order that's going to be a little over 20 feet long on the floor, about 24 overall with the A-frame up front. And it's going to weigh under 6,000 pounds gross. And so that is specifically what I plan to tow with this hitch right here. And I realize that might come as a surprise to some, because in the RV community, if you have a travel trailer, you're going to be doing bumper pull towing. Almost always you're going to be using a weight distribution hitch. And of course, if you're watching this, you know what that is. It just distributes the weight evenly, basically almost like a wheelbarrow. It picks up the weight of the tongue on the trailer and distributes it more evenly to the front of your truck. This is not a weight distribution hitch. In fact, this should not replace a weight distribution hitch. We'll talk more about that airbag here in just a minute. So that begs the question, why am I using this hitch here instead of a weight distribution hitch? And by the way, guys, full disclaimer, I am not giving out advice here, just sharing my personal preference. But on my truck here, when I bought it, this is my 2024 GMC Sierra 2500 HD. It's got the gas engine inside. When I bought this truck, even though I knew I was going to be probably buying a smaller travel trailer in the 6,000 pound range that was shorter, I wanted a truck that was more than sufficient to pull that travel trailer, you know, way overkill essentially. I mean, technically for a 6,000 pound travel trailer, probably could have even gotten a mid-sized truck. Definitely a half-ton truck, but I really wanted something that was way overkill, you know, more than sufficient, really for the sole purpose of being versatile, so that maybe if I decide, you know what, after having a smaller travel trailer, maybe I need to go a little bit bigger, or maybe I want a lighter, shorter fifth wheel one day. I wanted a truck that could do all those different, you know, travel trailers or a lighter fifth wheel without me having to upgrade my truck into the future. I mean, the payload on this truck here is 3,314 pounds. It's got a conventional bumper pull tow rating of 16,000 pounds. And again, guys, the trailer that I'm going to be picking up here soon is going to be right around 6,000 pounds gross. I'd be shocked if even fully loaded the tongue weight, you know, exceeded 1,000 pounds. And so basically I'm going to be pulling something that is about 1/3, approximately 1/3 of what this truck is rated for, and I'm very happy with that. Again, I wanted something that was way overkill, you know, something that would give me the ability to grow if my towing needs ever changed. And so back to the question, why am I not using a weight distribution hitch to tow my RV? And guys, really, it's just a personal preference. You know, to give you just a little bit of a backstory without going into too much detail. Previously, I towed a 2016 Reflection travel trailer. I think it was about 32, 33 feet long, 10,000 pound gross vehicle weight rating. And then I had a 2016 Ram 3/4 ton diesel truck. And that was my towing setup. And I used a torsion style hitch to tow. I did not use weight distribution. I was very happy with that torsion style hitch bumper pulling. And so ultimately that experience, that positive experience that I had previously, granted that was 2016, here we are 2024, but still I wanted something very similar. This is not a torsion hitch. This is actually an airbag style hitch. You can see the airbag right there. And basically it pivots right here and it then goes up and down essentially with that ball there. And so it kind of isolates the truck from the trailer. So ultimately I chose this hitch here because, in my opinion, again guys, not giving out advice here, just stating my personal preference, in my opinion, I think a weight distribution hitch is a bit overkill for the travel trailer that I plan to pull, given the capabilities of this truck and just the pure weight of this truck alone. And so that's why ultimately I chose this Shocker Hitch Air ride. You know, I wanted something that would help make the ride a little bit smoother out back and isolate the truck from the trailer a little bit. Like I said previously, I had a torsion style hitch that essentially did the same thing. But what I did not like about that torsion style hitch is, first off, it brought the actual ball where the trailer connects further out from the truck. In other words, further out from the axle of the truck. Because of the mechanics of that torsion style hitch, it just had to stick out significantly further. And of course, you know, you want to keep your tongue as close as possible to the axle. I don't want it all the way out here. I want it as close as possible to the bumper, to the axle. And so I like that about this air ride hitch, is that it's very compact from front to back there. I also like that this hitch doesn't weigh, you know, 100 pounds. I remember that torsion style hitch I had, it was very beefy, very well made. I mean, I think you could drop that thing off the Empire State Building and it would have survived, but it was super heavy. I think it was almost 100 pounds, if not just over. This thing right here is a lot more manageable. It only weighs about 50 pounds overall, so significantly lighter here. And then another big benefit of this Shocker hitch here compared to a torsion style hitch is that you can fine tune it with this airbag here by adding or removing air pressure, which will impact, you know, how soft or how firm the ride is. And that changes, of course, based on how much tongue weight you put on the ball here. With conventional torsion style hitches, basically they are set from the factory to carry a certain amount of tongue weight. So you might have a torsion style hitch that's made to carry 1,000 to 1,500 pounds of tongue weight. And basically the manufacturer has fine-tuned that rubber compound that allows it to flex up and down so that it's optimized for that 1,000 to 1,500 pound tongue weight. But if you put a trailer that's too heavy, then it's going to be going up and down more than you'd like it to. If you put a trailer that's too light, it's not really going to be making use of that action there. So that's one thing that I really like about this airbag, is you can fine tune it regardless of how heavy or how light your trailer is. In addition, you can fine tune it based on how firm or how soft it is. If you're out, you know, driving and towing and you think it's a little bit too soft, well, you just add a little bit more air to the airbag and you can fine tune your ride. So I think that's a huge advantage here with this Shocker hitch. And then last benefit I'll point out is that this Shocker hitch is ever so slightly more affordable than a comparable torsion style hitch. When I was shopping for this, I compared a very similar torsion style hitch. Again, this is the 12K model, and it's got the 2 5/16 up top and the 2-inch ball on the bottom. But I think in general, you're going to find that this style hitch is probably anywhere from $50 to $200 less than a comparable torsion style hitch. I mean, this thing is really beefy. It looks really well made. And so I think I'm getting a lot of value in this price point. But let me give you some measurements on the hitch. I realize these are going to vary based on the truck that the hitch is attached to. So I'll start out and give you the height of my actual receiver on my truck. Again, guys, this is my 2024 GMC Sierra 2500 HD. It is the gas truck 4x4. And to the top of my receiver right here, we're looking at 22.5 inches. All right, so all the other measurements I give you are going to be based on that receiver height here. But let's start out with the ball height itself. This is the 2 5/16 ball that's installed, and you can see we are in the topmost position. So the ball is right at 25.5 inches tall in the very highest position. Now I'm going to lower it and go all the way down to the bottom position here. All right, so now we're down in the bottom position here, and now to the top of our ball. We're looking at 21.5 inches to the top there. So that kind of gives you an idea of the range. I mean, basically from the bottom adjustment hole here to the top, we're looking at 7 inches. And so that's, of course, why they call it a 7-inch drop. And then as far as ground clearance underneath the hitch when it's installed, again, guys, this is on my truck, but we're looking at right about 13 inches to the lowest point right there. And you know, for me, I'm probably not going to be driving around with this hitch all the time. I'm really just going to be putting it in when I'm towing. But if you were to leave it in the whole time, you still got 13 inches of ground clearance. And I'll give you some more close-up views so you can see how it's constructed. Of course, you got the airbag right here. It's a very thick airbag. It feels very similar to what you might find on a semi-truck. And you can see underneath right there, it just has a hose running to this standard Schrader valve right here to fill it up. I like how they've got this tab here to kind of guard it in case something from the road were to come. It's not going to hit your Schrader valve, it's going to hit this plate that's sticking out right there. And then you can see how it makes contact, this metal plate, this silver metal plate, it makes contact with the bottom of your receiver. And then of course you have the pivot point right here, and so that's how the ball is able to travel up and down with that pivot point and that contact, and then the rubber bag being between it to cushion and soften all that. Then up top, it has this kind of bushing, softer material right here to limit how much travel, so that it's not just going up and down. Basically, this is going to limit it. In fact, in the instructions, they tell you not to adjust this nut here, to leave it that it is factory preset at the right amount to allow for that travel there. But I mean, everything looks really beefy, you know, just how thick all the metal is. And then check out all the welds. I mean, they just look really clean, really robust there. Of course, it's got a really nice finish on all the pieces. And then on the opposite side over here, we do have a Zerk fitting, so you can grease up the point that pivots there. And then last, I'll just demo real quick how easy it is to bleed the air out of here when you want to remove the hitch, and then how to fill it back up. So again, it just has a standard Schrader valve here on the side, and it only takes a few seconds really to bleed that air out of there. You can see that this back plate here is moving now, and so then we can freely pull the hitch out. But when it comes time to fill it up again, I'm using one of these little portable air compressors. You know, this is meant for balls, bike tires, things like that, so it's perfect for this. But basically, I'm just going to fill it up, and I'm watching up top here where this bushing is as it compresses, and the black and the red barely touch one another. And then I leave it just a little bit longer because I know when I release this, I'm going to lose just a little bit of air pressure there. So once I start towing and actually put a tongue weight on here, I think I'll have a better idea of how full to make that airbag there. But I really like that you can adjust the pressure on it to compensate for different tongue weights and, you know, how soft or how firm that you want the weight on it. And then let me point out one last related thing. This hitch pin here does not come with the hitch. You know, as with most hitches, you got to have your own hitch pin. And this one here is actually from Bulletproof Hitches. It's the first time I'm trying this style here. In the past, I've always used those bolt hitch pins, you know, that you can get key to like to your truck keys. But this time I'm trying this Bulletproof hitch pin right here. And what's really unique about it, of course, it's stainless steel and it's got the standard key there. But what's unique about it is it has a backup cotter pin right here. You know, if you think about it, what happens if your keyed hitch pin here somehow comes undone? You know, sometimes you read reviews about people towing and they talk about how the hitch pin failed. You know, maybe they just didn't have it attached securely to begin with. But what I like about this is it has a backup cotter pin right here, so that if maybe something does fail with the keyed part of the lock, or maybe I don't get it all the way in, this cotter pin basically serves as a backup. So it looks like a really promising hitch pin. I will put a link to this in the description below. Well, anyways, guys, those are my initial impressions on the Shocker Hitch Air. Again, this is the 12K version. And you know, I haven't heard a lot of chatter about this specific hitch within the RV community. And so I'm really looking forward to testing this hitch, putting my RV on the back, and seeing how well it actually handles. So I'd like to come back in the future and report back there and do a review, and maybe I can even put a camera, you know, on the back of the truck, and we can see what it actually looks like going down the road. So stay tuned for that in the future. But I think this hitch has a lot of potential. I think it's very promising for folks like me that have more than enough truck and you're towing a lighter trailer, you know, perhaps under 8,000 pounds gross. In my case, it's closer to 6,000, but somewhere in that range where you just don't need that weight distribution hitch and you want a little bit of isolation from the truck to the trailer. So stay tuned for a future video. If you're interested in purchasing this hitch, I will include affiliate links in the description below and comments. So I appreciate you using those to support the channel. As always, thanks for watching.